Israel is agreeing to begin negotiations with Lebanon as soon as possible. That's according to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who says the focus remains on disarming Hezbollah. The talks expected to take place in Washington. Iranian officials now threatening to end the ceasefire with the United States over Hezbollah not being included in the truce deal, which the U.S. said was never part of the deal to begin with. The vice president set to lead the U.S. negotiating team in Pakistan tomorrow for peace talks with Iranian leadership. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security remains closed for the 56th day. House Republicans blocking a Democratic effort to limit American military action in Iran during a pro forma session yesterday. Now, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats are in active conversations with Republicans to get the votes needed to pass an Iran war powers resolution. Listen to this.
We're in active conversations with Republicans to secure an additional handful of our Republican colleagues, which is all we will need to join House Democrats in stopping this reckless war of choice. We're prepared to force another vote upon our return to the House of Representatives, and for it to be successful, we only need a handful of Republicans, like Mike Lawler, Nicole Malliotakis, or others, to join House Democrats so we can end the madness now.
We reached out to both Congresswoman Malliotakis and Congressman Lawler for comment. We've not received a response. I want to bring in Florida Senator Rick Scott. He is a member of the Senate Foreign Relations and Armed Services Committee. Senator, good morning to you.
Jeffrey's an idiot. I mean, here's a country that wants to develop a nuclear weapon to kill Americans, and they've been killing Americans, and he wants to limit the president's authority. I want this president to do everything he can to protect my family, your family, all of us. So Jeffries is a complete idiot on this, and it'll never pass the Senate if it does pass the House. Well,
and I thought it was interesting he was bringing up some of his fellow New York leaders with Congresswoman Malliotakis and Congressman Lawler. So Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says the upper chamber is going to take up the measure next week when you return from recess. So dead on arrival?
Yeah, it's dead on arrival. I mean, who wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon or ballistic missiles to kill Americans? Only Democrats. There's not a Republican I know that thinks it's smart for this country to allow somebody that says they're going to kill us to have a nuclear weapon. So President Trump's doing the right thing. I think the ceasefire is an opportunity. I hope it works. I hope the negotiations work. But this president's done the right thing. He is defending Americans. That's what we all should be doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, President Trump issuing new threats to NATO, saying that the U.S. could withdraw troops from countries deemed unhelpful to us during the conflict. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte calling out European allies for relying on the U.S. to do all the heavy lifting. Listen to this.
Other European allies shifted away from decades of investing in conventional military partnership with the United States during the Cold War in favor of an unhealthy codependence. So convinced that peace was permanent and didn't demand the investment we now know is essential, Western European forces shrank and defense budgets shriveled into irrelevance. Over-reliance on the notion that security was just the new norm and the United States would take care of any threats further afield caused us Europeans to imagine that hard power was something to be embarrassed by, a relic of a bellicose past that humankind had now outgrown.
You know, Senator, Politico is reporting this morning that President Trump has suggested possible reprisals over a lack of support in the Middle East during this closed-door meeting with a top military alliance leader. That's in Politico this morning. Your thoughts?
Well, first off, I mean, Europe would all be speaking German if it wasn't for the American service members. And what we did to save their butts in the Second World War, for them to not support what we're doing in Iran to make them safer and Americans safer is just foolish. So NATO's going to have to change. Either they're going to step up and be a partner and be an ally, or why are we even involved in it? It doesn't make any sense that them not supporting what we're doing in Iran, not letting us use military bases. I mean, we built probably most of that stuff. And clearly, American dollars went into all the defense of Europe over the years. So something's going to change.
Well, and certainly the president has been very clear that he is very unhappy with NATO, and I think a lot of that came out this week when Ruto was in Washington. I want to talk about DHS with you and the shutdown. So Senate Republican Whip John Barrasso and Senate Budget Committee Chair Lindsey Graham are set to meet with the president today to discuss funding immigration enforcement within DHS, using only Republican votes, part of this two-step strategy to end the shutdown without agreeing to Democrats' demands on immigration policy. You know, and DHS and CBP have reported the lowest border encounters in recorded history for the first half of the fiscal year. 11 consecutive months, zero migrant releases at the border, sir. Your thoughts on this, and in particular, what do you expect will come out of this meeting today with President Trump and Senators Barrasso and Graham?
Number one, we should never have funded all the Democrat earmarks and all their programs and not funded Homeland Security back in January. That was a mistake. Now, what we know is Democrats don't care about Homeland Security and the safety of Americans. So we have two options. Either we're going to have to do it through reconciliation, which only takes Republican votes, and we ought to do it for 10 years so this never happens again, or we've got to come to our senses, get rid of the filibuster, and start passing things on a majority vote, because what we know is that Democrats want to destroy the Trump administration, the Trump economy, everything that Trump's doing. They do not want to be a partner of it. They don't care about Americans anymore. They have Trump derangement syndrome. So our two choices: do the reconciliation, which only Republican votes required, or get rid of the filibuster so we can start getting the Trump agenda accomplished.
The President Trump has made it very clear he wants the filibuster gone.
I agree with him. I mean, look, we had to change it last year over nominations because they weren't going to let any Trump nominations go through. So we're going to have to come to our senses. The Democrats don't want Trump to have any success. They don't care about American citizens. This president is saving Republicans' lives and Democrat lives and independent lives with his actions. So we need to support him.
I want to ask you about the reconciliation process, because White House Counsel Economic Director Kevin Hassett was on with Maria yesterday. He would like to see reconciliation by June. He expects that to be on the desk by June for the president. We had Congressman Rulli on with us earlier on in the program. He believes there's going to be two reconciliation bills, one in the spring, one in the fall. The rubber seems to be meeting the road here between Speaker Johnson and, of course, Senator Thune. Where do you think that the process goes? And really, who is going to be taking the lead here? Is it going to be the Senate, or is it going to be the House?
Well, we got to work together. We've got to get something that both can pass. In the Senate, Lindsey Graham will be taking the lead because he's head of the budget chair of the budget committee, which I'm on. He's going to take the lead. But we've got to get this done, and we've got to get this done quickly. It shouldn't actually take us until June to get this done. If we worked it every day, we could get this done quicker. We need to do that. Homeland Security needs to be funded. Now, thank God the president is paying right now, but let's come to our senses. Democrats don't care about the public. They don't care about public safety. That's why they're doing this. They just want to have some reason to fight over. They think it's going to help them in November. I don't know how you say, I hate America and I hate public safety, and you're going to vote for Democrats, because that's exactly where they are. So we need to get back to D.C., work every day until we get the reconciliation done.
And you think it could be before June?
It should, yeah. There's no reason it can't. It's just we know what we need to do. We've got to fund all of Homeland Security. I think we ought to do it for 10 years so we don't have to do this again. All right, so just do it every day. Work this every day. Ask us to start with the Budget Committee in both the House and in the Senate, and go through in the House, and we can get this done.
All right. Well, Senator, I know that that the reauthorization of FISA is also something that you are going to be working towards next week when you come back to work on Monday. Senator Rick Scott, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Have a great day. Bye, Cheryl.
Senator Rick Scott from Florida.